You can download the R in the video for free, link in the description, to save individual enemy health and stop enemies from respawning when changing scenes. Overall, having persistent data between scenes. We will first create a script that will hold the data that we want to carry across scenes. Under the Scripts tab, go to File, New Script, name it Persistent Data, and hit Create. This script will run in the background of our game, and will store and handle our data that we want to carry across scenes. Now to make this script run in the background, and allow the script to keep its data even when changing the scene or reloading the current scene, go to Project Settings. Under the Globals tab, select the folder icon, select the Persistent Data GDScript, and press Open, then press Add. This will make the script a global script, which has it run in the background of the game from the moment that we launch it, and it will run separately from the current scene that is active. Also keep in mind that the name on the left is what we will use to refer to the script from other scripts in our game. Additionally, if you want to see the script in action running in the background, press any of the play buttons. Then under Remote on the left, you will see the current scene in its nodes, as well as the persistent data script separated. And the reason why this is a basic node is because that is what we have extended in the script. Now inside of the persistent data script, we will first establish a variable called data, which will be a dictionary value, as the dictionary will allow us to associate a value to a name, making it easy to know what data belongs to what node in what scene. Also, we will rely on a lot of dictionaries and a ton of values inside of those dictionaries, opposed to using arrays, as retrieving a value from a dictionary is fast no matter how many entries, due to a hashing feature that Godot deals with for you, making the system performant despite using one single variable for a bunch of data, opposed to if we were to use an array. Then we will create a bunch of custom functions. First, we'll create a helper function that will create the data entry name. This will have a built-in variable called nodePathIdentifier, which will receive the node path to the node that wants its data to be saved, and this function will return a string. This just means that we can set something to this function, and this function must equal a string value using return. Also, we add an underscore to the start of the function's name so that it doesn't appear in the autocorrect script completion dropdown, which is needed as we only want this script to use this function, and not the enemy scripts that refer to this global script. Inside, we immediately call return with a string conversion of the file path to the scene that is currently active. GetTree grabs the core of the scene. Current scene grabs the name of the scene file that is currently loaded. So for example, if we were to grab the file for room1.tscn, then getPath will grab the file path, meaning that this will likely return res:// then room1.tscn, which is the file path for my room1 scene in my game. Then we add an additional slash so that we can separate the file location of the scene path from the enemy's name, ensuring that if the enemy name was room1 enemy, we don't receive any errors or naming conflicts. And finally, we pass the nodePathIdentifier variable, which is the path to the node within the scene. It is also important to use the path to a node rather than just grab the node's name, as to ensure that if we have an enemy node and then a separate node that has a child that is also called enemy, using getPath, one will be called enemy and the other called node2d/enemy, or whatever the parent is called, ensuring that we separate the nodes even if they have the same exact name within the scene. And to finish the setup, I will establish all the functions that we will use in the script. This includes a has function, a get function, a store function, and a remove function, with each separated by the intention of either adding a single value for an entry or adding a multitude of values for a single entry. We will have this difference as when we are storing data, we will either store a single value like a true, false, string, integer, float, or something else, or we will store an entire dictionary filled with values. However, from the perspective of the script, in the case that we are storing a single value, we will just package it inside of a dictionary on its own, so that we can treat it the same as using an entire dictionary of values, simplifying the overall code. Also, for now, I just return whatever value to avoid errors in the script, although this will change later as we fill these functions with actual code, and I will also zoom in on the names later as we get through each one. For the has functions, these will be used to know if there is already an entry for the name of our node, or if there is a specific value inside of a dictionary under the name of the node. For the hasData_entry function, we will check if the data dictionary has an entry or string name under the name of our node, which as you can see, we use our helper function here to simplify and clean the code. And because this function uses return, this line will equal the returned value, acting sort of like a variable. However, every time we call or write this line of code, the function will run its own code and the value for the function will update, which if the data variable has this entry, we return true, else we return false, which we don't need to write an else here, as return skips all the code below it. So if we were to return true, then this return false just won't run, overall avoiding the need for an else statement, keeping the code slightly more cleaner. Then for checking if a specific value exists within an entry, we check if there is an entry at that node using the function we just created, and if there is, then we use the getData_entry function, which we will code soon, and this function will simply return the dictionary associated with the node, which we then check if it has the name of the value inside of this dictionary, and if it does, we return true, else we return false if either if statement fails. Also, to reiterate, no matter whether we store a dictionary or a single value, there there will be a dictionary under the name of the node, with the case of the single value just being a dictionary with that single value inside, meaning that you could use either function for either case, as after storing data like health, position, and more, we can use this hasData value to know if the health value exists, and we can use the hasData entry to know if we have even stored a dictionary or any value under that node's name. And in the case that we store a value like true, false, string, integer, or float directly under the name of the node, then we can just check for the entry with the hasData entry, skipping the need to pass a name for the value. Next, for our getData functions, if we want to get the entire dictionary entry, we first need to check if the entry exists under the node name, which if it does, then we use return to make the function equal to the returned value, which will be the data variable's value at the position of the name of the node's entry. And if the data entry doesn't exist, then we just return an empty dictionary. Then to get a data value, we do the same as before, instead checking for the hasData value function, passing the name of the value, and we then return the getData entry to grab the dictionary entry of the node. Then we grab the value of the value that we're searching for inside the dictionary. As again, when we store a single value, we will store it inside of a dictionary. Otherwise, we will return null, as that means there is no value inside the data variable for that node. Also notice how this function doesn't have a type hint for what the function is meant to equal or return. This is because we want to be able to return any value that is stored, including a vector2, integer, bool, string, and more, meaning that a type hint in this case simply can't be used, as the return could be anything. For the storing function, we will have a type hint of void, which just means the function won't return any value and can't return any value. And for the store data entry, we simply grab data at the name of the node and make it equal to the value. As with dictionaries, if you want to add a new value to them, you just treat the dictionary as if the entry already exists. And in the case that it doesn't, Godot will just create the entry for you. Also keep in mind that this function will override any previously created entry for the provided node, which is also why you may want to use some sort of other function like hasData entry function before you call this function from your enemy script, as you will be replacing the previous set dictionary, which is also a reason for why the store data value function exists. Inside, we check if an entry already exists for the node, which if it does, then we will get that entry at the position of the specific value and add our value to it. That way, if we have an enemy entry and we want to store a defense value after already storing other data, we can just add that defense value under a name like defense inside of that already existing entry. Else, if there isn't an entry under that name, then we add the value using the store data entry function, putting the value and its name inside of a dictionary, which is done using curly brackets, with the name first, then a colon, then the value of that entry. This way, every single entry in our data variable is a dictionary, simplifying our code and expectation of what each direct entry in a data variable is. Also notice how we didn't provide a type hint for the value variable. This is because we want to accept any type of value no matter what it is. For the remove functions, they will both have a type hint of void, as they won't equal any value. And for the remove data entry function, the remove data entry will remove an entire entry from the data variable. So all we need to do is check if the entry exists using hasData entry, which if it does, then we use the built-in erase function on the data variable on the entry of the node. Then to remove a specific data value, we check if the value exists under the entry of the node provided. Keep in mind that hasData value will also check if the entry exists as well for you, so we don't need to do that check as well. Then we grab the data entry and we use erase on that rather than the data variable to then remove the specific value. Additionally, we do an extra check on the data entry we just removed a value from, and we check if that data entry even has any more values left, which if it doesn't, we remove that entry entirely, as there is no need for an empty entry inside the data variable, which this is done by checking the size of the entry dictionary. As for each value inside of the dictionary, the size increases by 1, so 0 means that the dictionary is empty. Finally, to complete the script's logic, we will establish a function called clearAllData, which will simply grab the data variable and call the clear function, removing every entry and value inside. We make this its own function despite having a single line of code, as you should never need to grab the data variable directly, and it is intended that you would just use the various functions we created here. Additionally, the idea of this script is that you will save data like health or whether the enemies are alive, or other data that you want to persist across scene changing. Then once you reach a certain location where you can't back travel, or reach a different chapter of the game or a different whole entire level, you can just clear all the data and begin storing new data based on what new chapter or level you're onto. Just keep in mind that this script will always run in the background of the game. Lastly, if you want this data to save, so that if the player closes the game and reopens it, they still have the same enemies defeated, simply pass this data variable to any sort of save system that you have, or add a save system inside of this script itself. Now, an example of using this persistent data system in your game can include going to your enemy script. Then in the case that you just want to save something like a health variable, we can use the enter tree and exit tree functions. Inside the exit tree function, which occurs naturally whenever the scene changes or when the node queue frees, we will save our single value. by grabbing the persistent data script using the name we established earlier inside the project settings global tab. Then we call the store data value function, passing the path of this node, which is very important to use instead of the node's name, as to ensure that we don't have any chance of the same name under the same level scene. Then we pass the name that we want to provide for the value that we are saving, then the value, which I just passed whatever my health variable is equal to. Then inside of the enter tree function, which occurs when a level loads or when a node is spawned in, we will create a temporary variable to store the value that we get from the getDataValue function, which for the getDataValue function, we use this node's path and the name we established earlier for the value. We will then check if that value is null, which if it is, we use return to skip all the code below, as this means the value hasn't been set yet, indicating that the exit tree function hasn't run at least once. Otherwise, if the value isn't null, then we update the health variable, and because I want to delete my enemy if their health is 0 or less, then I will have the code to deal with that, ensuring that I don't let my enemy exist if their health inside the persistent data is 0. Now in the case of wanting to save multiple values under one node, there are two ways to do this. Both have the same code for the exit tree function, which again in this case we are using both the enter and exit tree functions. For the exit tree function, we simply grab the persistent data script, call the store data entry function, pass the path of this node, followed by a dictionary which we define using a curly bracket that has the name for each value and the value that they're equal to. Again, passing the path of this node is very important, as we don't want to use this node's name, as to ensure we don't have any chance of the same name under the same level scene. Also make sure you add a comma to the end of each value, although this isn't necessary for the last value. Once you have saved your values, for the two ways that we can choose to load them inside of our enter tree function, the first is in the case that you expect every value grabbed will always exist, meaning that you expect you would never remove one value from the entry or add another value to this entry. For this, we create a variable to hold the entry, which we just use getDataEntry with this node's path, and if the entry is equal to an empty dictionary, meaning that the entry for this node doesn't exist, then we just use return to skip all the code below, and if the entry does exist, we can update our various values like my health variable and global position to the entry's values using the names we stated earlier inside the exit tree function. And again, because I want my enemy to queue free if they have 0 or less health, I also have that code here as well. Now in the case that you intend to remove a single value or add a single value later on in the code, but still want this entry to hold other values that won't change, then instead we do similar code to the single value example, where we use getDataValue instead on each individual value, essentially treating the entry like it's a bunch of single values that have been added, and we use roughly the same logic as before. This should generally be all you need for a persistent data system. Keep in mind that you are grabbing the name of the global script, which we established in the global tab inside the project settings, then the function that you want to use. Also make sure you use getPath and not the name of the node, and generally try to avoid ever grabbing the data variable directly. Additionally, you don't need to use the enter and exit tree functions if you don't want to. I simply chose to, as enter tree will activate once the node is either spawned in or when the level is loaded, and the exit tree runs either when the scene is queue freed or when the level scene changes, making it so that I don't have to store my data every time the health variable changes or whenever my node is about to queue free. Now you have a persistent data system that can be used to store any data in your game and avoid it from resetting when changing or reloading a scene, such as stopping enemies from respawning when changing scene, which you can add this system to any of your Godot games, and don't forget that you can check out the project files link in the description.